Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Welcome to the Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today is Monday, 18th January 2016. We will start with our prayers. Narayanam namaskritya
Narayanam namaskritya
naram chaiva narottamam
naram chaiva narottamam
devim saraswatim vyasam
devim saraswatim vyasam
tato jayamudiraye
tato jayamudire
nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu
nashtaprayeshu bhadreshu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
nityam bhagavata sevaya
Bhagavati uttama shloke
bhagavati uttama shloke
bhaktir bhavati naistiki.
bhakti bhavati naistiki.
Om namo bhagavate vasudevaya.
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 Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 12, Sloka number 1 and 2. The chapter's name is Creation of the Kumaras and Others. Maitreya Uvacha
Maitreya vacha
Iti te varnita kshattaha
iti te varnita shattaha
Kalakya Paramatmanaha
kalakhyam paramatmanaha
Mahima Veda Garbhotha
mahima veda garbhotha
Yatha Srakshi Nibodhame
yatha sirakshina nimbodhan me.
Maitreya Uvacha
Maitreya uvacha
Iti te varnita kshattaha
iti te varnita kshatta
Kalakya Paramatmanaha
kalakya paramatmanaha
Mahima Veda Garbhotha
mahima veda garbhotha
Yatha Srakshi Nibodhame.
yatha dakshina nibodhame.
Sasarjagre andatamisram tamisram sasarjagre andatasmisram
Sasargagre andatmismaram
athatamisram adikrata
yatha tamasisram adikrit
mahamoham cha moham cha
mahamoham cha moham cha
tamascha jnanavrittayah
tamascha jnana vrittayah
sasarjagrendatamisram
sasargre tamisram
athatamisram adikrat
yatha tamisram adikrit
महामोहं च मोहं च
महामोहं च मोहं च
तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः
तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्त्यः।
श्यामा माधवी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभुजी।
हरे कृष्ण।
मैत्रेय उवाच
मैत्रेय उवाच
इति ते वर्णितः शक्तः
इति ते वर्णितक्षत्तः
कालाख्यः परमात्मनः
कालाख्य परमात्मनः
महिमा वेदगर्भोत
महिमा वेदगर्भोऽथ
यथा साक्षीन् निबोध मे।
यथा साक्षीन् निबोध मे। कमलिनी माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी।
हरे कृष्ण।
ससर्जाग्रेन्धतामिश्रम्
ससर्जाग्रेन्दतामीश्रम्
अथ तामिश्रम् आदिकृत्
अथ तामीश्रम् आदिकृत्
महामोहं च मोहं च
महामोहं च मोहं च
तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः
तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः। सीता माता जी।
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु।
हरे कृष्ण।
मैत्रेय उवाच
मैत्रेय उवाच
इति ते वर्णितक्षत्रः
इति ते वर्णितक्षत्तः
कालाख्यः परमात्मनः
आलाख्य परमात्मनः
महिमा वेदगर्भोध
महिमा वेदगर्भोऽथ
यथा साक्षी निबोध मे।
यथा साक्षी न निबोध मे।
हरे कृष्ण।
सुनील प्रभु और मयंक प्रभु। both are not there. प्रेमावर्धिनी माता जी।
That's number 2.
हाँ जी।
ससर्जाग्रे अंधतामिश्र
ससर्जाग्रे अंधतामीश्रम्
वथतामिश्रम् आदिकृत
अथतामीश्रम् आदिकृत्
महिमा मोहं च मोहं च
महामोहं च मोहं च
तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः
तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः। मैत्रेय उवाच
मैत्रेय उवाच
श्री मैत्रेय said
श्री मैत्रेय said
इति
इति
thus
ते
unto you वर्णितः described क्षत्तः ओ विदुर काल आख्यः by the name eternal time परमात्मनः of the super soul महिमा glories Veda Garbha Lord Brahma the reservoir of the Vedas Atha thereafter hereafter Yatha as it is Asrakshit did create Nibodh just try to understand may from me Sri Maitreya said, O learned Vidura, so far I have explained to you the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in his feature of Kala. Now you can hear from me about the creation of Brahma, the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge. Sri Maitreya said,
Sri Maitreya said,
O learned Vidura,
O learned Vidura,
so far I have explained to you
so far I have explained to you
the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead
the glories of the form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead
in his feature of Kala.
in his feature of Kala.
Now you can hear from me
Now you can hear from me
about the creation of Brahma,
about the creation of Brahma,
the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge.
the reservoir of all Vedic knowledge.
We'll take the second one. Sasarja,
Sasarja
created.
created,
Agre,
Agre
at first.
at first,
Andatamisram,
Andata Mishram,
the sense of death.
the sense of death,
Atha,
Atha,
then.
then
Tamisram,
Tamishram,
anger from frustration.
anger upon frustration.
Anger upon frustration. Okay. Adikrit,
Adikrit,
all these.
all these.
Mahamoham,
Mahamoham,
ownership of enjoyable objects.
ownership of enjoyable objects.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Moham,
Moham,
illusory conception.
illusory conception.
Cha,
Cha,
also.
also.
Tamaha,
Tamaha,
darkness in self-knowledge.
darkness in self-knowledge.
Cha,
Cha,
as well as. Ajnana,
Ajnana,
nescience.
science.
Pratyaha,
Pratyaya,
engagements.
engagement.
Brahma first created the nascent engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. Brahma first created the nascent engagements
the nascent engagements
like self-deception,
like self-deception,
the sense of death,
the sense of death,
anger after frustration,
anger after frustration,
the sense of false ownership,
the sense of false ownership,
and the illusory bodily conception
and the illusory bodily conception
of or forgetfulness of one's real identity.
or forgetfulness of one's real identity.
Purport. Before the factual creation of the living entities in different varieties of species, the conditions under which a living being in the material world has to live were created by Brahma. Unless a living entity forgets his real identity, it is impossible for him to live in the material conditions of life. Therefore, the first condition of material existence is forgetfulness of one's real identity. And by forgetting one's real identity, one is sure to be afraid of death, although a pure living soul is deathless and birthless. This false identification with material nature is the cause of false ownership of things which are offered by the arrangement of superior control. All material resources are offered to the living entity for his peaceful living and for the discharge of the duties of self-realization in conditioned life. But due to false identification, the conditioned soul becomes entrapped by the sense of false ownership of the property of the Supreme Lord. It is evident from this verse that Brahma himself is a creation of the Supreme Lord, and the 5 kinds of nescience which condition living entities in material existence are creation of Brahma. It is simply ludicrous to think the living entity to be equal with the Supreme Being when one can understand that the conditioned souls are under the influence of Brahma's magic wand. Patanjali also accepts that there are 5 kinds of nescience as mentioned herein. Shama Madhuri Mataji, you can chant, please.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनाशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललितां श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तुते। तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताक स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमाचार्यपादाय निताय कृपप्रदायिने गौरभुतदामदाय नगरग्रामधारिणे।
मैत्रेय उवाच इति ते वर्णितक्षत्तः कालाख्य परमात्मनः महिमा वेदकर्पोऽथ यथा साक्षी न निबोध मे। ससर्जाग्रे नन्दतामिश्रम् अथ तामिश्रम् आदिकृत् महामोहं च मोहं च तमश्चाज्ञानवृत्तयः। So Maitreya Rishi is now going to describe about the creations of Brahma, what Brahma created, or secondary creations of Brahma as we can call it. So here we'll read this again. Brahma first created the nascent engagements like self-deception, the sense of death, anger, after frustration, the sense of false ownership, and the illusory bodily conception or forgetfulness of one's real identity. So as Srila Prabhupada explained, before creating any jivas, because jivas have to have some experience, right? The whole purpose of this material creation is to give us an experience, first-hand experience of how you can lead a life without Krishna, without service of Krishna. And for that, all these arrangements are made. So first he created this atmosphere, fear of death, the frustration that comes, the Mahamoham, Moham. Mahamoham is like, I'm going to be alive forever. I will be enjoying always. Only I will enjoy, nobody else. Maybe other may not enjoy. Maybe, the sense of proprietorship and forgetfulness of Krishna. So these are the 5 most dangerous things that can happen to a person. And that happens to every person. And that's why we are still here in this material world. We are just simply going on circling, trying one thing and then trying other thing and then trying another thing, keep trying. Even in spiritual life, we keep trying. We are never satisfied with one. Even after understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, even after understanding that He is our worshipable God, Lord, we still keep doing things. We still keep. Maybe we'll get something more from somewhere else. Like we have this tendency. So all this is not unnatural, because this is how it created. Its whole design is like that. That we ultimately get fed up. Ultimately, one day we get fed up, or one day we realize the real bliss, the real purpose of this material world, and then we also realize that this is not the place for us. Like Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, he says, this word is like a latrine, material world. He says, just finish your job and get out. Like we don't spend the whole day there and things. Just, he says, finish your job and get out. So this is very interesting, that how everybody around us, and to some part we are also there. We are not totally away from this, but at least we are realized. And Bhagavatam is one means to make us realize, to make us understand, to motivate us to take up to devotional service. So this whole motivation comes from scriptures, from the commentaries of the acharyas, the nice explanations. And this ownership business is going on. Everybody is, wants to own. Person who doesn't have a house, he wants to own a house. Right? That becomes his goal of life. I told you that, in Bangalore, people have this. This is the first time I had not seen anywhere else. I've lived many places. But in Bangalore, especially, if you are introduced to somebody and that person gives a self-introduction, or somebody else gives. So after giving the name, the second sentence must come that he owns his house. Swanta mane. Swanta, my own house. Oh, sorry, sir, he has got his own house. And that becomes like a huge achievement. And then we know how long you can live in that own house. So Brahmaji is going to create now one by one. Now this chapter is called Creation of Kumaras and Others, because he has to now expand. So how he starts. And Maitreya Rishi is going to take us through this constructional phase of Brahma. It will be very interesting, because in this chapter we will come to know what comes from what, which part of Brahma's body, what is created. Very nice description. So we'll continue. Thank you very much. If you have any comment, question, please go ahead. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Actually, we have come through somewhere. Mahatattva, from Mahatattva everything comes. Now how come from Brahma everything comes, Prabhuji?
It's not coming from Brahma. Brahma is not, we saw that there are some portions which the Lord himself creates. Right? We saw that, right? And then some task has been given to Brahma. So this is part of his task. It's part of Mahatattva. But something has been, like you give a master plan to somebody. Mahatattva is like a master plan. And then out of the master plan, you give one sheet to somebody. Okay, this is your department, you do this. Like you make a house, there is a superstructure, there are interiors, there are, electrical, the plumbing, so on and so forth. So Brahmaji has been given, okay, you do this job. And so he's doing it. This is all part of his job description, his specific duties.
Okay.
Because, for example, he did not create the first, in the previous chapter we saw that there is something which Krishna himself does it.
Yeah.
Then Brahmaji is given secondary, he's been given a portion of that, and that portion itself is huge. So it looks like Brahmaji is doing everything.
Okay. And also, Prabhuji, everything is there when Mahavishnu glances that,
Right.
it gets that
Agitated.
consciousness.
Agitated, yeah. That's where our explanation of our scripture's explanation for the Big Bang theory, Big Bang theory is there, but who created that Big Bang? They don't have an answer. Whereas our scriptures have the answer.
So whatever Brahma creates also, it has to be glanced by Mahavishnu to get
Yeah,
that
it's already glanced.
consciousness.
It's already glanced and handed over. Okay, now agitation is already there. So the sum total is, now he doesn't have to wake them up. Come on, he just has to, manifest them again, re-manifest. All these things are manifest and unmanifest. Everything is already there. Brahmaji is not creating something new. He is only putting things in their own places. That's why the blueprint example is very appropriate. You give a drawing to somebody. So this drawing is given, already all these components are there in the drawing. Brahmaji is not playing with that. He's not trying to say, no, let me make day as night and night as day, because that's not possible for him.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
And again, we see all these elements which are there in essence. What for? The Brahmaji knows that this is how the material world will be, full of nescience. So he creates that first. Because otherwise, if the Jivas come and they will get confused, like Brahmaji himself was confused in the beginning, right? Because he didn't have all this. So he was confused. He was the first creature, so he was confused. He didn't know what to do. He was flying here and there, going down the stem. And then he hears some instructions.
Yes.
And then he sees the Lord, then he understands, oh, okay. It's like, Brahmaji is intoxicated or he is in subconsciousness at that moment. And then he gets his consciousness by seeing the Lord, you get everything. This is another thing. If you have a darshan, then you have everything. It's not that darshan is like, you're seeing some movie and that's finished. Movie is over, you're also over. No. The darshan of the Lord is like, it reminds you of everything. All your past and present and everything.
So all the problems of the material world came before us.
Yeah. Before us in the sense, because of us only. If we had continued to live with Krishna happily, then Krishna didn't have to create all this, But we wanted it this way. So we can't blame anybody else. But Krishna is so merciful, he has given us one more chance. He keeps giving us chance to stop this. But we are so stuck up. We are so stuck up that we don't want to take the chance. We think that who has seen? People say, who has seen? So enjoy now and that's it. So do it. Enjoy. No problem. Krishna says, if you want to enjoy, you enjoy. No problem. I'm not asking you to stop enjoying.
Yes, most of the people have that feeling, Prabhuji. This life is aching life.
Most of them, 99.99%, this is because even if we take 1.1% of 7 billion, it is a big number. And I think that may be the number of the devotees in the world. That's all. in the Kali Yuga. Because of the 3 pillars are gone already, so the 4th pillar is tottering.
Yeah. Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. Thank you so much.
Looking forward for this chapter, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.